Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video guys, I'm going to be playing some War Thunder on my Xbox. But I will be using mouse and keyboard. And we will be playing on the map Japan. And with this one, it's a little bit different than what I normally did. I decided to buy one of the packs, and that gave me a tank that was battle rated 9, which is pretty high, and most of my tanks are rated for up at the top you can see rated for 5 over here, and then around 3 at lowest. But we will be starting with the Chrysler, which is the tank that I got from the new pack that I bought. We are playing on the map Japan with one conquest point that we have to capture. And just bear in mind that I have not played in a while, so I might not be as good as I normally am. Another thing is that if you guys want to see some newer games, such as some games that haven't even come out yet, like Watch Dogs Legion, I am planning to look at and see how that is, or some older games such as Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. Okay, we're going up on a tank. That was a crit. Destroyed his cannon breach and his loader, which means he cannot fire temporarily. Okay. Missed? Okay, I missed. Because I'm not using the right hammer type. In this game, I'm using the Army class, which is anything to do with tanks and ground vehicles. Ooh. He does a lot of damage. And now I'm stuck. Okay, now, some things that might be pretty important to know are, first of all, that this does not have to do only with tanks. This also can deal with any aircraft and stuff like that. Then, then this also has to do with, then this also has to do with some helicopters, and every once in a while a tank, or every once in a while a plane, but it's more of a helicopter. I think I'm going to die because there it is. I got bombarded with 30 to 40 shots, and I was surprised that I even lasted that many shots. Let's go with my next best tank, which is the M4A1, which is one of the Sherman variants. And this goes back all the way to World War II, because I haven't gotten high in the tech tree, or research tree, whatever you want to call it. One thing that people need to know is that don't spend your money on decoration and stuff like that, because it only has cosmetic value. The only stuff that doesn't is camouflage, which can be bought, or is certain camouflages which can be bought, but they only take effect into realistic battles, which this is not a realistic battle. This is a simulation battle, or arcade battle, not simulation. But if you do realistic, then the camouflage will come into play, and that can make it harder for the enemy to spot you in open areas. I got some just in case, not on this tank though. Sadly, that it only does it on the tank that you buy it on. You can't transfer it in between tanks. Okay, that was pretty quick. I didn't see him. Okay. That was probably the end of that tank. All tanks can counteract each other. So even though it is a World War I tank, it can still destroy modern day tanks, such as M1 Abrams and anything else that you can think of. But the downside is that you are much easier to kill, and it is much less likely to destroy a enemy tank. It's just if you hit it in the certain parts, which is normally the wheel well, which is at the bottom of my tank. Most of the time it's covered up, but sometimes in certain areas that it's not covered up, you can destroy it in 1 to 2 shots with that. Another thing that I mentioned earlier is that I'll be playing on keyboard and mouse on my Xbox. They added this a while ago, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the better things that they added, mainly because it allows more maneuverability and more control over your tank, such as having spacebar as secondary weapons, which are machine guns and 50 cal machine guns, and then the main mouse button is the main tank round that is fired. And this can be helpful when you're just trying to want to shoot down a plane. You don't want to waste your ammo, or a helicopter. You don't want to waste your ammo. You can just hold down spacebar to shoot your 50 cal rounds or your MG rounds. So I will be going into one more round, but since the higher you are in your tech tree, the less people there are at that high of a tech tree, so it takes much longer to get into a battle. It can take upwards of 5 minutes. Usually it only takes around 4, and if you're lucky, it only takes about 1 minute. So I'm just going to go and start another battle and cut to when that happens. Okay, everyone, and we are back. I skipped it, but I had to. You guys in the video skipped it, but I had to wait around 6 minutes. Sadly, it took that long. But this map is Domination, which is all 3 capture points on the map Ash River, which has to be probably one of the most liked maps, or at least in people that I've heard. I'm not a big fan of it, mainly because of the terrain, how much of terrain difference there is, but it's okay. I'm fine with it. And if you guys want to, you guys can comment down below and tell me your favorite tank. That'd be appreciated. If you guys want to give me suggestions on different takes that I could try and research, because I'd like to hear what tank you guys would like to either see me use or see me try out. Oh, I'm in a bad position right now. Let's hope. Move, please. Thank you. And if you say please enough, they eventually move. Works out every time, I think. I hope. Yeah. Okay. But as I was saying when I left off, there are, with keyboard and mouse, there are way more different combinations of keyboards that you can use. You don't have to use the default one. But with controller, you also don't have as many buttons. I think you have roughly a lot less. I can't remember. But if you decide to get it, it doesn't have to be extremely good keyboard. It just can't be. The only thing it can't be is Bluetooth, because your Xbox will not be able to connect to it. So unless you have a wireless connector or a wired one, those are the only 2 ways to be able to connect it to your console. And with that's a lot. But if you guys do want to see me play other games, comment in the description. Tell me what games you would like to see me play. It can be any games that haven't come out, as I said earlier, games that haven't come out, games that have already come out, or old games that have come out a very long time ago. I'm fine with playing any of these games, as long as you guys give me the suggestion to play those games I will be playing. And as of right now, I'll just be playing any game I feel at the moment, because I usually am not heavy influenced by any game other than GTA. As of right now, that's what I've been playing a lot of. That's it. So right now we are towards the top of the map. Even though in the corner it shows me at the bottom of the map, it's actually the top because there's mountains here, and this is one of the highest points in the map that you can get to as of this point in time. That is one of the good things that I just shot at. One of the bad guys that I just shot at. The good thing about that is that now, the higher level you are in the game, the more damage your tank does, and usually the smarter you get, and this will allow you to... Oh, I panicked. This will allow you to hit better shots, and this means that... what does this mean? Oh, backed up wrong time. This means that if you hit, or you can learn what spots to shoot at and what not to shoot at. For example, it's better to shoot in the wheel well, or the tread well, wheel well, whatever you want to call it, than directly straight on, because most of the time, unless you have armor piercing rounds, most of the time those rounds are going to bounce off and deflect, or bounce off of the enemy's armor, rendering those points useless. And one main thing that you can also look at is, if it pops up as red, it is a high likelihood of reflection, or deflecting, or non-penetrating. Then we have yellow, which is a possible penetration, but still not as likely. And then a green is an almost, or is a 90% to 100% penetration to the tank. So these green spots could be the wheel well, back of the tank, sometimes the top of the turret, or any spots that have your tank bullet can go just barely through, but just enough to hit the armor rack of the tank. And if you one thing that I do a lot is I go into just random tanks, and I go into X-ray mode, as I will show you in a second. I go into X-ray mode, or into armor mode, and that shows me the armor weaknesses and the strong points, and then it also shows me where the armor rack and other spots of the tank are. So let's just go with the XM1 Chrysler. This is a premium tank that you can only buy with real money. You can't actually buy it with golden coins, golden eagles, which is the premium currency. So if you look to the left side, you can see different modes. This is no extra mode on. Then we have armor mode. Red is the strongest point on the tank, which is roughly the same for every tank there. Some tanks are a little bit different, but roughly on every tank, the turret, the main cannon part of the turret, where the cannon loading is, that is usually one of the strongest points of the tank. And then we have stuff such as orange or yellow, whichever way you see it, is the second strongest and that's mainly the main armor part, usually on the sides and on the top. Then there goes green, which is pretty thin, which on this tank is the top, which means if somebody is shooting artillery at you, it's more likely to penetrate there, which is why this tank is not good at defending from artillery. And then we have a light blue, which is the thinnest, which means that most or anything will be able to get through that, which is usually not one of the spots that you want to be aiming towards the enemy. So in this instant, the best, or your most likelihood of surviving is if you aim straight on at it, because in the back, there's that little hump right here, and when you turn the turret around, it'll aim up, which means you can't hit the enemy. The sides have these very thin armor plates, which don't protect much. And then, same on this side. The back has very thin armor right here, only 5 millimeters. And then at the front, you have all orange, lots of orange, and lots of red. And most of the parts that are very thin armor, or thinly armored, are non-casualty spots, which are where even if the bullet goes through, it's not going to injure. The main thing that most people try to aim for is either the scope where people look out, or the gunner hole, which is right here. This is a very small part of the tank, but if you get it through, it's 90% of the time a either tank disabled or tank destroyed. And then we have last, which is X-ray mode, which shows you certain parts of the tank, such as all the guns, armor, or certain pieces of armor, and where crew are. So in this tank, all the ammo is stored in the turret behind everyone. So if we go back to this one, it's all located, most of it is located here, which means you don't want to be shot over here, because if you are, it's most likely going to destroy your tank. And then it also shows you the engine, which you don't want to be shot in, because then you are also immobilized. And here you can also see composite armor and spaced armor, which is most likely going to protect your tank in most circumstances. And main people that you want to protect are the driver, and loader, and gunner. The commander is not always necessary, but there's only one tank that can... Every tank in the game can go down to 2 people, and some even need 3. Some need 4, and some need 5. But there's only one tank in the game that can run with 1 person. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is one tank that can run on 1 person, but it is very small, and the area doesn't pack a large punch. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys did enjoy, please hit that like button and subscribe, and tell me what you guys want to see next, and like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all later.